WSL champions.
And welcome everyone to another edition of the Vic Akers Wonderland Podcast. Running a bit late, the season's over. We've been trying to get this one done for a while, but alas, I think we're still recovering mentally, physically, and our schedules have been tight. But nonetheless, we are here to discuss because there has been some news yet to be confirmed, but it is alleged that apparently, we came to Lisbon from a little place in England called North London. And I'm not sure if it's true, can't confirm, it's just rumours at the moment, but apparently we won the Champions League! And to celebrate this momentous occasion, I am joined, of course, by my co-conspirators, the magnificent Matt in the Hat and the lovely Lottie. Lottie, how has it been for you?
La 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 la. La 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 la. That song's stuck in my head. Those exact wonderful words as I was just repeated. I will not sing them today. Actually, I really want to, because that was going to be my introduction until Adam stole it. But yeah, no, it's that song's been stuck in my head for the last couple of weeks. I've been snowed on. The pod delays, mostly my fault, guys. I do apologise. I have been snowed under with my job, and it's just not been practical for all of us. We did reschedule it, and then Matt, our wonderful Matt had his birthday, and it's just like, okay, we'll leave it for another week then.
Happy birthday to Matt.
Absolutely.
It was a very eventful birthday, but we'll go on with that later. Sorry, Letty.
It's all right. No, yeah, I've just been sitting on cloud nine for the last 2 weeks. Nothing can upset me. It's great. And I just walking in to work with the Chelsea fans. First 2 words I got were profanity words, and it was brilliant. I will not repeat them. You guys can work them out for yourself. I only said good morning. I didn't say anything else. It was great.
It is fantastic. We'll get into that, but it is, as I've been saying for a while, that Chelsea been pushing at that door to get into the Champions League final and win it and so forth, and we've just walked up and pulled it open, and it is magnificent.
It's
Matt,
glorious.
It's glorious. It is glorious, and there's plenty more glory to discuss. Matt, how have the last 2 weeks been for you?
Well, so on the Friday finished work, so half term's finished and things like that. So it was great to build up into that, and it was just really good. And you just go on and going up towards the stadium on Saturday, just thinking, no idea what's going to happen. Going to enjoy today. We had friends out that were coming down from the stadium, so it wasn't going to be just I'm in the crowd of Arsenal fans by myself. There was actually people that were there that I was and that was the important thing for me, was that I wanted to witness this moment with other Arsenal fans.
Yes.
I felt if I was going to be by myself sitting and watching this game, it was going to be not just nail biting. I think I just wouldn't have been able to sit still or anything. I just wouldn't have been able to take everything all in, and just. There's so many stories. I don't know how many stories you want, but they're basically our friend, myself and Lucy were doing basically laps of going around the stadium to get the adrenaline running off. And
really?
Yeah, there's lovely photos as well that we've got from a couple of friends as well that just sort of get the atmosphere of what it was like and how we were all feeling. I mean, I think we didn't notice that there was a "please do not stand on the cannons" outside by the armory. And what did 3 of us do? We stood on the cannons. So, but I think it's the euphoria of the moment, and that sort of overtakes you, and trying to get that energy out there.
I think you can be excused in these exceptional circumstances, whether it be to stand on some cannons or shout profanity at a celebration party on top of the armory. These are crazy, special, unique, memorable times, history makers. Throw all the analogies you wanted it. We are going to talk about the game, but first we're just going to wind the clock back a bit and start off our usual icebreaker. And it's a question for the pair of you. Excluding the final, what has been your one major highlight of this European adventure? What's been your favourite moment, apart from the final, which we'll get to for obvious reasons? Go on, Lottie.
It's got to be the Vålerenga game when Lena Hurtig came back. Oh, sorry, I do apologise. And and also it was Katie Reid's debut that day as well, if I remember rightly. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
definitely ranked for me. It was just Helena coming back straight out the blocks, and it's exactly what we wanted to see after so long, for being out with no sort of valid reason. Oh, she's but I think we all think there's something deeper.
I think it's just been injuries and form, and just not able to stay fit. But to have that moment of glory, that which turned out to be an extremely crucial goal, because it was on the same night that Bayern Munich went to Vålerenga and are you on about the Juventus game? Are you with the 1-0 or the
was it Juventus?
Juventus
It was one of the group
scored.
stages at home.
Yeah, Juventus last minute winner.
Oh, I'm going to throw in Juventus away as well, because that was a really good game too.
That was your first women's away European trip as well.
My first European trip, yeah.
Yeah, and that was a special one, and it was a very special game. I think it was one of those games where we were seeing the attacking football from Rennes that maybe we hadn't seen under Jonas, and we were seeing actually this is a pretty fluent team. But I think the Vålerenga home game, that was when I think Hurtig made her long-awaited return, and we were all singing the Hurtig chants. And I think she might have brought a kid out, and it was a very touching moment. And then, as you say, Juventus, that was where the group stage sort of turned, because as I said, Bayern Munich went to Vålerenga, dropped 2 silly points, and Hurtig's late scramble in the most Hurtig way possible, scrambled the ball over the line. We weren't quite on it, and we're freezing cold, but a momentous moment nonetheless. Matt, what was your European highlight?
Oh, you know what? I thought Lottie was going to take this one, and that was going to be the semi-final against Lyon.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I thought you should go Lyon away, but
that's a bit obvious.
Yeah,
I thought I'd surprise you for once. It's been obvious all the bloody time.
But I think my favourite one, I think I'm going to just mention the fact that the BK Häcken game at home, the fact that to be able to turn that around. But I'm going to give out the shout out for the Real Madrid game, just because I was there, and it was the first time. The one that I was there for, and had to get a coach all the way back for.
Yes. That was a special one.
And it was important, that one, because it was just selfishly, that's the first time I've watched Arsenal win in the Champions League. So
no longer cursed. The curse breakers broke the curse.
I'll say that, and then what happened? The next game against Lyon,
we lost.
Go and lose. Same.
But
calm yourself.
That 3-0 win, at Emirates Stadium, all in the second half, and I think it was 12 minutes. It was just 12 minutes to all the goals. It was just bang, 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 and suddenly the whole tie's been flipped on its head. And in my heart of hearts, Russo got a hat trick that night. I don't care what VAR said. She was onside clearly for one. No, it wasn't to be, sadly. But 3 goals.
From where I was sitting in block 7, she was definitely onside. Oh,
absolutely. It's clear as day. My highlight is a bit more obscure, but I'm going to go for the Bayern Munich home game at Meadow Park, and specifically the silence. Because throughout the entire game, the North Bank is rocking. It's loud, it's wind and rain, and it's absolutely bouncing. But for that moment, Mariona steps up, and there is just because I watch the rugby a lot, and whenever the person comes up to take the conversion or the penalty, the kicker, then there's always a respectful hush in the ground, or there usually is anyway. And it was very much like that. The entire stadium just went pin drop sort of moment, and it was like time stood still, and Mariona takes the kick and puts us ahead in the group with about 5 minutes to spare, and then the whole place goes nuts. And it was just a bonkers game, a seesaw game, a bit sort of hinting at some of the 4-3 results we were going to experience later on in the season, in the new year. But it was quite the way to sort of wrap up just before Christmas. And of course, a few weeks, next month, I think it was in the end, Renee had her full-time contract, and just the whole campaign is just littered with those just sort of tiny moments. That the Hurtig goal, as you say, Lottie. I think back to when Frida had that scramble goal. I think it was against Rosenborg. For a 1-0 win when we were sort of a bit flaky under Jonas. Obviously, then with the comeback against Real Madrid. Just little moments that just tilted it our way. But of course, it's one thing to get to a final; it's another to win it. Now, I travelled up on the Friday. Lottie, when was it you flew into?
Friday. I was there Friday.
You're there Friday as well. So
Friday, by the time we got there, it was Friday evening.
Yeah, so I was an early one, but I mean, we should say shout out to I think it's 4,500 fans, I think, made it there, potentially more, but shout out to those who did actually make the trip, because flights ridiculously expensive, hotels obviously particularly as well. I know people obviously do things like Airbnbs and so forth. So for those who were able to do it, the lucky people who were able to get a ticket and make the effort, huge congrats to them. But for those who did not, but Arsenal very gratefully set up a special viewing at Emirates Stadium, which Matt, you were there for.
Yeah, and I got this lovely scarf as well, so I'm going to have to put it sideways for those on YouTube. It does say AWFC Lisbon 2025 on it, and it's got a little cannon on it as well. So I thought it was a nice little thing that Arsenal did. You got a free drink as well as you're coming in. So it was, I think the fact that it was a shame that basically there was play on the pitch, which meant that they couldn't put it on the actual pitch itself, like they have done in the past. For
so what was on the pitch? Sorry, there was a what on the pitch?
Play on the pitch, which is basically people can pay X amount of money to play at the Emirates Stadium.
Okay.
For a kick
there was a game. There was a game one.
Well, there was a couple of games because it might have been an actual play on the pitch tournament going on because it was a lot of kids, but. I think they did it right. The fact that a lot of people haven't been in club level before, so there was a bit of what do you do because of the address, the dress code and things like that. We weren't too sure was that going to be lifted and things like that. It was quite hot. Does that mean that are people going to be allowed to wear shorts or skirts or whatever they wanted? But it seemed to be very lax, and it was a really enjoyable experience, and it's actually made me consider that maybe next season I might look at going club level for one of the games.
I've done it once or twice this season. I think when my season ticket hasn't been valid or have been sat elsewhere in the stadium, I've done it once or twice, and it is a nice experience. It's a nice treat. Once or twice, I do recommend it. And with a women's game, it is much. I know Lottie. It's not for Lottie. It's not for everyone, but
absolutely not.
But for a women's game, if you want to get the club experience, do it on a women's game because the price is a lot more agreeable.
To be fair, the last time I was in club level, I actually got my first Arsenal goal. So did Tobin clean it? Did she? Yes, she did.
Absolutely. And Lottie Wibbermoy was there to slam it in. Now there was in Lisbon on the Friday. There was a fan park. I'm guessing you arrived late, Lottie. You sadly had to miss out on the fan.
Oh no, we went straight down to the bars. We've been travelling all day. We didn't have time for that.
So you were. I sadly missed out on the fan park. I went to the Sevens tournament, which was around the coast.
Yes, you did.
So which was quite the interesting experience. I don't know if any of you got a chance to watch on the DAZN stream. Any of the
I went to the fan park on the Saturday morning.
Ah, right. So
firstly, it was more aimed at the Barcelona fans because they did Arsenal all day Friday. And you sort of walked in, it was like Barcelona, and then you look at Arsenal, we got this piddly little stand. Like when you initially sort of go in, you've got all the Barcelona flags, and then you've got like this like little stand. It's just one box, and it's just like Arsenal. You could have done more here. It was disappointing.
Yeah. Did you see? I don't know if it was on that day or the day before, but there was a dance off between the Barcelona.
Yeah, that would have been the day before because it was a bit cooler because it was about 28 degrees by the time that day, and it was already 25, 26 when we got to the fan park.
I do wish, if it's one regret from a trip, I do wish I could have visited. I didn't. Obviously, I had other commitments, but it looked like a lot of fun. I know a lot of people went there, had a picture with the trophy, and there was a good atmosphere. But I think it was known that the Barcelona fans were going to outnumber us on the day.
That was fact. Yeah. But the thing is, you've got to remember, a lot of Barcelona fans can go to Madrid and get a train for €12 across to Lisbon.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's all it costs. €12. It's a bargain.
Yeah. Absolutely. Matt, just quickly, we're just on the Sevens. Obviously, I just wanted to just quickly grab, what was your opinion on the Sevens tournament? Obviously, we couldn't partake because we had a European final, but other teams who didn't get that far were involved. What was your opinion on it?
I really enjoy it. Seven-a-side is how I'm usually playing football, so I'm used to that high tempo, and it really brought to light a lot of the different characters that you're going to have. So for England, for example, Jess Park really did put on a really good show for Man City, even though Man City got knocked out in the semi-finals. but it showcased a lot of players' talents. I think it's Lily Johans that almost won the player of the tournament roles, but she was very impressive for Ajax. I'm going to be absolutely blunt and completely forget one of the Japanese players that also won. I think
Yes, there was a
Takinara.
I know the one you mean, because I said she was voted player of the tournament and was very, very good. I love that clubs like Bayern Munich sort of understood the assignment and saw it as not just as a football tournament, but a way to sort of have a bit of fun and express themselves. And you saw it with the goal celebrations. Manchester United
took it
on
too
the act
far
as well. No. I think Manchester United, I think they were pretty good as well. And you had some very good entrances as well. And there was we had some skipping ropes and human pyramids, and treating it without this. It's an interesting contrast between the game I knew I was going to watch on the Saturday, which was ultra serious, ultra stressful, ultra important, and then you had this just like stress-free, stake-free, just people just playing football for fun, not because they knew it was a trophy to be won. Obviously there was a trophy to be won, but there was no stakes in it. It was just let's just have some fun. There's no league. The season's over, and it was like this maybe has a place in the calendar. Not sure where, and I don't, but. I was a bit sniffy at first, but I was watching it in person. I thought, actually, there's something here with this. We come to the Saturday, day of the game, and myself and Lottie went to this wonderful little street in Lisbon called Pink Street. Lottie, when you arrive, I mean, what? Just wow, wasn't it?
If I'm honest with you, you don't need directions to find Arsenal fans. Let's just be honest.
We absolutely
rammed up that street completely. All the bars were open. You could just about move up and down the whole bar street, and it was just nice to see people. I mean, I saw what's Natalie from I forgot the podcast. Natalie Busher.
Yes, from Red and White podcast.
Well, when we landed in Faro, she said, "Oh, I've had the Art Football Road to Lisbon T-shirt at the tram and got Taurus on it." She went, "Oh, I'd really like that T-shirt. Which I bought one." And I went, "She went, what do you think the score's going to be?" I said, "We're going to win it." And that was Friday morning. That was Friday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. I was like, "Yeah, we're winning it. That's it." End of story. Saw her the next day, and I was like, "She's like, still going to think you're going to win it?" I went, "Yeah, we're going to win it." I mean, have you had these Arsenal fans? Okay, Lisbon. From North London, and we're going to win the Champions League.
At the time, we were going to
before we won it. But yeah, we were just we were just singing, drinking, happy days. It was just a case of staying hydrated. A few people I know went down with heat stroke, so it wasn't great. And that was before the game, and they missed the game. So it was like, okay, we can drink, but we do need to stay hydrated with water. Because the worst thing you can do in that heat is drink too much.
Indeed. I got a Uber from my from a hotel I was staying. I was in the bar talking with a Barcelona fan. We were sort of discussing the game and trying to work out where what. I mean, I was always of the mentality we weren't going to win, just because I've seen Barcelona in the last two finals. I know.
Do you know what? I was
pretty good.
I think if you look back at the last pod, my brain says no, my heart said yes, and I ended up going with what my heart said, and I was so glad I did.
Yeah, no,
that was my answer when you asked me. I was like, yes, but no.
I am unashamedly a coward, though. And will always back against my own house. But I had them on sort of chatting with them, and they're there to go and do photography at the game. So I got the Uber down, and it was one of these magical moments when I was falling on my phone and seeing where this place was, which was right by the coast, and we're a few way out, and then I can hear them chanting, I can hear them singing in the distance, and I'm like, I could tell my driver, just drop me off here, I can find it from now.
That's what happened to us as well. They dropped us around the corner, we walked around across the bridge and then down the little side alley, and we were there. It was just like, and it was just go find a drink. I think, do you know what the best part of all of that was? I think I bought 2 pints, two mixers, like alcohol mixer, all less than 15 quid.
Yeah.
When I looked how much they charged me, I went, hang on a minute, if you charge me properly. It was just unbelievable. Like, you can get around of drinks for less than £20.
I just think this is wonderful.
Whereas over here, it'll cost you like 30, 35 quid.
But what made me think is I met up with a chap called John, who actually went to the original final, the 2007 final in Sweden. He was like one of 5 fans that went over to that final in Umeå for the first leg. Not many people made that trip back then. And I just look at how this culture has evolved over the last sort of 2 or 3 years, especially with the post. I would say it probably started when we got back in the Champions League, and this was in the early years of Jonas. But it's just blossomed and blossomed and blossomed. And I did the Real Madrid away trip, and we had an Irish bar to ourselves, and it was noisy and fun. But this was like on another level. This was like this wasn't just one bar. This was every bar in the street, and it was just for one glorious afternoon. It wasn't Pink Street. It was Red and White Street, which is what I think many people have called it since. It's just, and of course, the irony is pink is of course the combination of red and white. Just a magnificent sort of celebration of Arsenal. And I obviously saw you, but there were just so many people I needed to see and shake hands and catch up with, because it was like everybody was there. Everybody who makes content, who writes, who podcasts, who watches as fans, and it was just such a wonderful, heartwarming experience. And you just think, wow, we're going to go into battle against the mighty Barcelona. And it's not just 5 fans on the touchline anymore. It is a proper away contingent. And to be honest, I know it's a neutral venue, but really it was an away game in terms of the amount of fans that Barcelona brought, in terms of the location. It really did feel like we were underdogs. It was an away game, backs against the wall, etc. Even though we actually were drawn as the home team. We made our way over, obviously, to the stadium. Now, I've never been to Sporting Club. Have you ever been to the Sporting Lisbon Stadium?
Yeah, I've been there before. And honestly, they're more organised for the men's Champions League than they are for the women. If I had to rate this stadium out of 10, it would be a solid 2. It was disgusting. No, they weren't managing properly. The fans weren't managed properly. Barcelona fans were coming in the door, we were coming in, and they made a big fuss of us all being separate. And it's like, what's going on here? It's ridiculous.
I did see Barcelona fans last section. Yeah,
it got to the point where the queues were that long for the kiosks. They started sending stewards out with boxes of water because it was getting that hot inside the ground.
Yeah,
and it was. The way that the game was managed from where the Arsenal fans were in that sort of corner, it was disgusting. A solid 2 out of 10 for stadium experience.
It's a shame because the stadium itself looks fantastic. It's a stadium that is absolutely on. Like, this is where a Champions League final should be hosted. It's a proper quality stadium, and I was very disappointed. I mean, people were getting cups of water, queuing up for hours to get some water and keeping the cups and taking them to the toilet,
especially
for tap water.
Especially when it's 27 degrees. Do you know what I mean? And it's approaching 28. I mean, it was 28 from like 35 minutes in, and we were sitting under the sun.
And we
and you can see the amount of people streaming out and doing water runs for their groups. It's just crazy.
Stewards are giving out ice lollies or ice creams. They're giving out. It was just, the problem was, as you're right, the allocation we had where we were sat, it was absolutely bullseye in the glare of the sun. And the irony was, the sun did not dip below the stadium until the full-time whistle. So unfortunately, yes.
Well, it depends where you were sitting, because I was at the back of the block. It didn't hit me till about 35 minutes, so I got away with it. But as soon as it hit, it was already on that. It was like, oh my god, it's roasting, and like you're sitting there like caking on the Fat 50 while you're trying to watch the game.
I was right down the bottom, and luckily we had an Arsenal sort of card, a coloured card.
Oh yeah, no, there was a lot of people just folding them over their heads and picking it up as a watch. And it was just keeping the sun off faces, which it did help some people, but some people who did do it still got heat stroke. It was really quite bad, and I wouldn't rate it for a final again. But the ground's beautiful.
Yeah,
the staffing, the stewarding, crap.
The team news did drop, and I think it was the team we all expected, just with the one change. DVD back in goal for Manuel Zinberg for the final, but it's your usual, McCabe, Catley, Fox and Williamson, Mariano and Little in the pivot, Ford, Frida and Kelly behind Leslie Russo. The Barcelona team had something that did stand out to me. For those who watched the Chelsea-Barcelona game, when you, especially in the first leg, Claudia Pina coming off the bench was a real weapon for them, and helped obviously got them the first leg win. I was really intrigued to see her start. I thought she would be a bench option, and it was, it wasn't to say she's a very good player, and it wouldn't be a yay or a nay, but it did catch my eye. It also caught my eye that Rolfo was playing at a left back, although since then actually that's something she's been doing a lot. But you looked at the lineup and you just saw quality. I mean, Matt, when you saw the opening lineup, whether for both sides, anything you thought we could maybe attack, or anything you were worried about, or?
This is where I've been saying about I like the fact that Mariona ends up being the deep player, because I think she's a lot more effective further up the pitch, either as the attacking midfielder or on the left. That's sort of been subsided by the fact that Chloe Kelly and Caitlin Ford, or Beth Mead and Caitlin Ford, have been very effective. So how do you get away with that? Well, either Leah Royalty or Kim Little have to be given time off the bench, which I'm all for, because they have been running consistently that midfield now for the last 2 to 3 years. Yeah. So it was important to get that break. But I think my biggest concern was that Mariona was going to be the player that was going to be marked out of this game. Like, there'll be 4 or 5 of their players, and that had all marking her. Which one of our friends said, when I mentioned this, well, if that's the case, if she's going to have those 4 or 5 players trying to take her out of the game, then that frees her to play those quick passes that she can do, or just be able to move the ball quickly enough to be able to get the team going a little bit. And it was really odd to see what eventually happened, really, because I wasn't expecting it.
No, I mean, Lottie, did you have any concerns, or were you quite happy with the choices? Or
I was happy with the lineup. I was confident with the lineup. But Barcelona is what I expected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what they do. They've got quality on the bench, quality on the pitch. Whether you shuffle it up or not, it's still a great team.
Absolutely. Now, I was speaking to my Barcelona friend beforehand, and they were saying, and we were discussing, and I sort of said, my always opinion with going for a final is if you've got to a final, no matter what the opposition is, the fact that you are there, you have a chance. It doesn't matter how big or how small, because you were in that final. It's a one-off game. There are no second legs or anything like that. If you get a bit of luck, but for my opinion was, if Arsenal are perfect and Barcelona throw a stinker, there is a chance, but we've got to be on that tightrope, not for 20 minutes or 10, 15 minutes. It's the entire 90 plus minutes. We have got to be on that tightrope and just be 100% perfect in everything we do, and hope that Barcelona just dip our level. And that was sort of my thought going into the game. If we've got a chance, and I've seen Barcelona take on English opposition in a European final before, and it was over after about a minute. It was over after 20 minutes, really. But in that final, memorably, if we wish to bring it up, within the first minute, Chelsea score a tragic own goal, absolute calamity to the back, and there was no comeback after that. Barcelona just got the teeth.
Can I just say,
roared away.
Let's just remind people, beating Barcelona isn't for everyone.
It isn't. We should also say that we have lost 8-1 in the aggregate on a group stage years
we
ago.
have done, but in recent times, it's not for everybody.
Well,
please let me have my moment. I know, I remember the 8-1 because I was there for one of them. Please, and I believe it was one of my first Champions League games.
It was.
So please don't remind me. Give me my trauma back.
It's a wonderful full circle moment. Interesting also that actually Barcelona's first ever Barcelona women, should we say, first ever European game was actually against Arsenal. And this was 100th game. So again, another sort of full circle moment. But my feeling was always the first 10, 15 minutes. And I go back to those 2 Chelsea legs, home and away, at Barcelona Stamford Bridge. In the first 10, 15 minutes, Barcelona got the early goal. They got the early goals. They were 3-0 up at Stamford Bridge. I mean, Matt watching on, were you watching behind three fingers, trying to hope when that inevitable Barcelona storm, we thought was going to happen at least?
Yeah, I thought this was going to be the game where Arsenal were going to have to surrender the possession and go from there, and it just didn't happen. It was it happened, but it didn't happen as often as I thought it would. I thought it was going to be straight from the off. There has been some questions about Barcelona being slow starters. I think you've mentioned this in the previous podcast, Adam.
Yeah, another final. They haven't scored a first half goal in a final since the 3-1 loss to Lyon. I think the previous 2, they've all been in the second half.
So it's just one of those, isn't it, where if you can do something at the start, get something. I mean, we saw it against Wolfsburg 2 years ago. That when Wolfsburg went 2-0 up, and they're thinking, right, you're 45 minutes away from a title here, Wolfsburg. Can you hold on? And just the flaws. Wolfsburg basically said, go and have a shot, and Barcelona, right? Okay, we'll have 3, and that was that.
Was it. Lottie, were you nervous at kickoff, or were you, as the game progressed, were you quite sort of confident?
Well, I kind of just took it with a pinch of salt. I just wanted to see how we kind of went, and then I was just sitting there just watching the game. Like, I wasn't singing for 90 minutes, like full 90 minutes. The first half, I was just like, okay, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
So it was really like I had joined in the odd song, but it's not like me not to sing for 90 minutes.
No.
And it's one of those things, and like where we were, we had like 3 rows of Barcelona fans behind us, and some of them were shouting abuse, and like I'm sitting there thinking, I understand what you're saying. I don't care if you're speaking in Spanish. I understand what you're saying. And I turned around and thought, you know what? And I turned around back again. I was like, just leave it.
Yeah.
It was just I don't know. I was just very apprehensive. I think that's the word for it.
I mean, when we had the Manchester United home game at Emirates Stadium, and you know, pointed me on the shoulder and was like, Adam, are you all right? You're not singing. And it's just like, yes, because I'm incredibly nervous. And it was a bit like that.
More, for me, it was more the comms, because when I can't see something, I'm usually I tune into you. Even though I'm sitting like 5-6 seats, I can still hear you. Like if it's like at the Emirates, you know where the away corner is. Like if it's over at the away corner and I can't quite see because there's some tall idiot in front of me, I tune into you. No, it's not you. You're who runs behind, so it doesn't make a difference. Do you know what I mean? I'm 5'3". I can't control who sits in front of me.
No.
But it was at that point I couldn't see something. I'm like, hang on a minute, why isn't Adam talking?
And because I'm down right down the bottom. I couldn't. Well, there's a few reasons I couldn't sing. One, because it was just roasting hot and I just had the energy. And I say fair play to all the Arsenal fans around me who didn't stop singing, who had the energy and were in the intense heat. It was about 26, 28 degrees. It was ridiculous. I was very much regretting not getting some sort of water before the game. Luckily, I was able to get some at half time. But dehydration was a major thing in the game. But my feeling was the first sort of 10, 15 minutes, that was key. If we could ride out the storm, which I thought was going to happen, we would be fine. And what surprised me is there wasn't really a storm. I think there's only one moment that stands out for me, and that there was a sort of moment of jeopardy, I think, with Lair was a header back to the keeper, and there was a dodgy punch, and we sort of lost the possession in the box twice in a row, and it was a bit sort of harum scarum. We got away with it. But other than that, there was no real sort of, oh, crikey, chaps, we're really on the rack here. You know, Barcelona, we knew would have the ball, but I've always felt that we sort of had them on arm's length. And then what really impressed me more is that when we started to actually create chances, and the early one, I think, is a Kim little cross the back stick that forward heads wide. And there were just sort of moments I'm thinking, we're actually not that far off. And then of course the big moment happens, the big moment which I think some of us were really excited about. There's a bit of nice play down the right flank, a ball sent into the box, there's a bit of a confusion, a bit of a scuffle, and suddenly the ball's in the Barcelona net. Matt, what was it like at Emirates Stadium?
You know what, I've actually sent the video over to you of the fans actually celebrating that moment. So I forgot to mention that at the time, but because it was just like nobody could believe how the team had done this. They like the first 10 minutes of a game, Barcelona usually quite tight and very possession based, and it just the ball comes over the right, the ball comes in. And Irene Paredes is very, very lucky that the walk there wasn't given. Let's just say that, because she fluffs the lines, and Catacol just because it's one of those where it's just clipped her and she can't get down quick enough to save it. So it was one of those where is this going to be the story of it's just going to take one of those sort of moments where you just take advantage of just small movements and things like that. And I think that was the important thing, was to remember that was going to be the way that maybe to get behind this Barcelona and get that first goal was going to be.
I mean, Lottie, were you at the time? Did you think it was a 100% goal, and we had actually somehow done it as early as, I think it was at 20th or 25th minute, I think it was?
I jumped up with everybody. I didn't care.
Yeah.
It went in the net.
Mm.
And then you get the VAR coming out, and it's just like, great, here we go. And then what annoyed me is, like, what I do want to see is something with, like, especially with the finals, when you have instances like that, VAR should be on the screen. They should be showing us what we're looking at, not us all jumping on the internet. Yeah.
Yes.
All jumping on the internet. Finding, is it offside? Is it offside? And unfortunately, Frida is leaning offside, because I've now actually properly looked at that. It's the one thing I didn't look at. Someone said it's offside. I went, okay, I don't care. Back to the game. But since I've come back home, I've looked at it and I'm like, Frida, you're literally an arm and half your torso offside.
I didn't really, because it was at the other end of the pitch, obviously, and I was quite low down. I couldn't really see what was going on, but I could tell something was wrong, because on the big screen you were seeing the Barcelona player sort of surround the referee. Now that obviously can happen, but I just got the feeling there was something odd about the goal. It just seemed, it felt like the celebration was a bit half pace, and of course the VAR comes up, and I didn't really realize it was an own goal. I thought maybe there'd been a foul or something like that, and then it was come as an offside. And the offside, as you say, is Frida. She's leaning offside. It's actually a very similar offside to the Real Madrid, the first goal that Russo gets chalked off against Real Madrid. It's that Frida on the right. She's timed the wrong, just slightly off, and obviously gone offside, which puts it into a situation that in the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, and the finals, we've had a VAR call for offside go against us in every single leg, because obviously we had there was a Lyon goal that did get given that was originally top offside. So we've had a bit of bad luck on the VAR front. So that was an annoyance. Would have been the perfect.
It wasn't really an annoyance, because it was the correct decision.
Yeah,
and I don't agree with VAR, so this is massive for me to say. I hate VAR with passion, but it was correct
absolutely.
decision.
It's the correct decision, so there's no annoyance on that behalf, but it was just almost that we had the ball in the net, and we know that chances are going to be premium when it came to Barcelona. And I've since heard that some people were quite sort of, again, really sort of depressed and annoying, but I actually took a lot of hope from it, because it told me that we were in the room. And I've said this to fans afterwards, and really we have a sort of discussion over this, and we actually came to the conclusion that actually the goal being disallowed might have been the best thing possible that could have happened for Arsenal, because jumping ahead to the Spain-England game, in that game, Russo did give us the lead in the first half, but you saw what happened to Spain in the second half when they absolutely tore England to ribbons and got the 2 goals and were dominant. And Matt, you mentioned the Wolfsburg game. Wolfsburg got that lead in the first half, and then obviously they collapsed Barcelona around them. And for me, getting that goal so early on in the first half could have been like a red rag to the bull, and would have really sort of clocked Barcelona into absolutely go hell for leather in the second half, and probably likely overpower us. We didn't get the goal, but it told me we were in the room. We were actually, like, and I think I mentioned those other defeats, the 4-0 in the Emirates Stadium, when we were nowhere near Barcelona's level, just like comically, like well off the pace, well behind where they should be. But I was watching this team, I was like, we're matching them. We are in the room here with Barcelona. We're not inferior. We're not clinging on. This isn't man the barracks, defend the walls, sort of clinging on for dear life. We're not, hacking balls off the line in last year's tackles. We're doing our defense responsibility. Every player in the team is doing their job. They know what this means. They are fighting for every ball. There was, I think, Ford running back making a brilliant block to stop a cross, and I think from Pates, and you see CS celebrating it like it's a goal. You got Leah Williamson stealing the ball off the toes of the forwards and in the box, just right in front of us, thinking, "Oh crikey, Leah's lost it," and she gets in and just take. It's just such a euphoric feeling of just seeing like forwards like Payot and Pates and Bonmati, who are just dripping with talent, and then you're seeing Leah come on and just casually take the ball off her toes, and we should say, not hoof upfield, not panic clearance. It's how do we play at the back, because the important thing is you retain the possession. You don't just chuck it back into Barcelona's pocket and they come again. It's to retain the ball and build forward. And you had Fox making those runs down the wing, and just we always had that out ball. We had Ford obviously on the left doing the same. Frida then has an amazing shot, which I thought goal. I thought she'd scored this. I thought this was top bins. I thought this is classic Frida. What a save from Catacol, Matt. I mean, what a save. Goalkeeper's union, we've got to go to you.
Yeah, it's a good save, but it's nice to see that it was Frida Marnham that was actually coming out. This is the Marnham that we saw a couple of years ago, but she's not got to that level. And it's important when the players do come out, and especially for finals, that they do come out with a purpose. I do not want to speak about the final that shall not be named, the final that everyone wants to forget, but no one turned up for that final.
No, we didn't know.
And if you took that team, majority of those players are still there. What's changed, apart from a couple of players have changed in and out, but the point is that they've learned a lot from that lesson at that time to go from there to winning three champions. I wish.
I wish.
three trophies in 3 years. I think nobody could have imagined if you'd have said, by the way, in 3 years' time, you're going to be champions of Europe, and you'd have won back-to-back Conti Cups. I don't think anyone would have thought that would have been possible at that time. It wasn't down to manager or anything like that. It was just the way everyone came out. It was very much I think a footballing lesson had been learnt of how you deal with finals, and since then, I think they've really managed the finals well.
You touched on a good point, because I think I looked at this. If you go wind the clock back to that Selhurst Park final, the 3-1. Before then, we'd lost our last 4 finals in a row. There was an FA Cup, a League Cup, another League Cup, and then the FA Cup. We'd lost 4 in a row, and then up until this final, we'd won the next 2 of those 2 Continental Cups. So I do think there is a lot of truth in that. There's been a need of sort of having to learn how to win again and winning these crunch finals, which are usually against Chelsea or Man City. In fact, slight statistical point. This was the first time a final Arsenal played in a final that wasn't Chelsea or Manchester City since 2015, when they played Notts County in the WSL Cup. So that's obviously there's a great difference between Notts County, who sadly no longer exist, and Barcelona, but it kind of shows how time has passed. Half time, 0-0. Lottie, I mean, thoughts?
We're still in it. We're still in it. We've put up a decent fight. The defending's been brilliant. I mean, I think this was the first half. I mean, Caitlin Ford even got back and did a brilliant bit of defending down our end, and because obviously we were square onto it at the time. It was just absolutely bloody brilliant, and it's not something I expect from her. No. So she's been absolutely phenomenal this season. She really has. But yeah, no, we were still in it as far as I was concerned, and it was just a case of staying hydrated.
Yes, it was finding something to means of consuming fluids, because it was exhausting. It was
and diving out the sun, even if it was for like 5 minutes.
Spent a lot of it actually in the shade, in the concourses. I just remember, I think it's sort of. I remember thinking, great, I sort of have hope now, because I was thinking, I was trying to mentally prepare myself for a defeat, so it wouldn't break my heart when it happened. And I just thought, I'm happy to be here. And then I remember sitting taking my seat in the stands and seeing where the goal was, and I was just visualizing, imagine if Russo scored like in front of us and we all went mad. And it's just I thought, yeah, we could do this actually. I could imagine doing. And then suddenly I realized, oh no, I'm getting hope, and I've tried to dispel that hope. I've tried not to have any hope, because then I got my heart would be broken. And then we get to half time.
It's infectious, isn't it?
It is. And you get to 0-0 at half time, you're thinking, you know what, we could do this. I mean, it's 45 minutes. I was really impressed by the team, because I said it was, given the heat and the intensity of the game, intensity of the heat, it's very energy draining. And I just knew that if we were going to spend the whole game running around trying to chase the ball of Barcelona, we would be knackered, and Barcelona pick us apart. And I got the impression that this team had found a really good defensive shape that they were all comfortable with, and they were all comfortable in managing a Barcelona team. And again, I'm looking at the team sheet, and I just look and just think they have managed to sort of manage this Barcelona team, which is crazy when you think about the last 3 games. We chipped 12 goals across, Brighton, Villa, and Manchester United. So I had hope at halftime, but I also thought, but second half they're gonna come at us. We've had chances, we've not, decent chances, we've not taken them. Barcelona, surely they're going to crank it up in the second half. And I think it's 5 minutes in, and again, they're in the pitch now because Barcelona attacking the other end. There's a nice bit of play in the box. It comes through to I think it's Claudia Pina, this one, and shot takes deflection. It loops over the keeper, and it bounces off the crossbar. Matt, what were the thoughts back at the Emirates?
I think there was an expectation that when it was going, that this might dip, and when it did dip, it's one of those where you don't know whether it's going to go over, or it will just dip under and then it goes in. It was just one of those where you didn't know what was going to happen until it was I think we've seen on one of the playbacks that you can actually see on the reverse angle of what actually happened, and Daphne's right to from the goalkeeper perspective, I think she thinks it's going over.
Yeah.
So that's why she's left it. Let's just say that there's no argument for there's no reason why she hasn't dived. She just thinks it's going over, and it's one of those where you don't know whether it's going over or not. So she did the right thing, and I think Pina just didn't have the right shooting boots on, or either that or she saved it for the England game.
Well, there is that. I mean, the goal she scored against Chelsea was spectacular, but we didn't see anything like that on the day. But I remember saying to the fans next to me, because when we beat Umea, when beating them on aggregate in the game at Meadow Park, there were a few moments when Umea hit the bar or hit the woodwork, and it was like the famous one is when the ball hits the post, hits Emma Byrne's face and goes wide. And I thought in those games you need those moments of luck. And seeing the ball bounce off the bar like that, and I thought, you know what? Actually, that's our sort of maybe our luck. This is a sign that maybe this could be our day. It doesn't guarantee it, but it just suggests that maybe the footballing gods are on our side on this one. I know about the game with a lot of confidence. Onya Batia, who's a right back, was taking pot shots from outside the box, which I'm all for, because for me that stinks a bit of desperation. They did go a bit close. There was one that almost hit Leah Williamson. There's one that cleared the crossbar. But of course, Barcelona were dominant, as we expected, and we weren't really getting out. We were struggling to get the ball out. Russo was getting a bit isolated. But a key moment for me that happened, which again was a sort of self-confidence in a boost for myself that told me we're doing things right, is that Barcelona made the first substitution. They brought Sama Pariolo on for Claudia Pina. Again, great to see Pina come off. That's always nice. And the fact that they made the first sub made me think, right, we've got them. Another great moment and was we won a free kick in the second half right in front of us, and Katie McCabe was taking an age over it, and the Barcelona fans went mental, and you could hear them, and I thought, we've got them rattled. We have got them rattled. I know it was fantastic, just hearing them just booing and hissing and thinking they know, because we should say Barcelona fans first half, you're hearing the Barcelona chants, we're giving it all the great songs, and they're great support. Barcelona got a lot of
I'm
respect
glad you can agree that you heard them, because I didn't hear a peep.
Oh, I could hear them. And you can hear
I
them.
didn't hear a peep, and I was at the back of the block, and I was like, this is really disappointing, considering the atmosphere that we see on the TV and stuff, and they're meant to be legendary. It's a little bit disappointed.
I think the first half I could hear them, and watching back on the TV I can hear them, but second half, I think as the second half progressed and they could sort of see where the game was going, I think they lost a bit of that sort of, and I can understand that when we went 2-1 down at home to Lyon, it was like a balloon being popped, and we sort of lost all atmosphere. I thought for the first half, they were giving it the lab, but when that free kick happened, it didn't come to anything, but when it happened, you could really hear the sort of anxiety and the panic. They sort of knew what was happening. And then the major thing happens. Renee goes to the bench, Lottie. She brings on Beth Mead and Sina Blacksenius. I mean, I always think back, it's always nice. We'll get to what happens, but it's when the manager makes a substitution, and she's made some bad ones in the past. I remember being at the LSV where she took Russo Brookstein on, and we all said that was a mistake. But it's when you get them right, there's nothing better. It's like Bentner in the North London derby. It's pathetic. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fact that as soon as I saw Stina, and I thought, right, she's going to get the winner.
Yeah,
that was it for me. And it's something about her and the finals. It's just something she's going to score. That's it. We saw it at Wolverhampton. We saw it at Palace. You just knew it was going to happen. And I went, right, that's it. They're finished. They're going to get Blackstenius. That's it.
Yeah.
And someone said to me, "Oh, you can't say that. It's too soon." And I'm like, wait for about 75 minutes.
Well, I'm glad you're making these Cleopatra level predictions. I mean, it's like, have you?
No, it was genuine. I had said that. I'm not just saying that for the hell of it, but
Yeah.
and like people looking at me like you're crazy, and I went, "It's coming.
It's coming.
Just watch."
I
don't know what it was.
Mm.
There was something in the air that day, and it was just like,
Mm.
yeah, we're not losing this today.
I got that feeling as well. It's one of those things is that as the team were more, the chances Barcelona, well, they weren't really having chances. I mean, I'll have a quick look at the stats, but just out of curiosity, so yeah, they were 20 shots over the game, but only 5 of them were on target. And if you think back to those shots on target, a lot of them were just straight at Daphne, who just collected them quite easily. What's stunning about the game, and we'll get to obviously how it eventually plays out, but that there was no point where I thought that Daphne had to make a fingertip dramatic, worldy save. The way that the chances were so limited for Barcelona is great credit to the defensive setup. The first scene, the moment comes, and this was the moment. I think I'm going to come to you with this one, Lottie. When I thought the moment had passed. The defender on the halfway, I forget which one it was. I can't remember if it was Mapillon or Paredes, but they get their pocket picked. There's a sloppy pass back, and Stina spots it, picks the pocket, storms through on the goal, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is it. This is the moment. This is the moment. This is the moment. And she runs through and she shoots straight at Katakul. I mean, were you doubting your prediction then, Lottie?
No, it's Blackstenius. Come on, not at all. And I mean, thing is, if I remember rightly, the offside flag went up at that point.
No, didn't. There wasn't offside.
No, not for that one. I know there was another one where she was offside.
Which is
Before
always offside.
before the magic moment. But
Yeah.
it's sometimes it's hard to keep track how many times she's offside in a game, because you immediately say, "You're never offside. What are you talking about?" It's one of those moments, and that specific shot, it was just unlucky.
Yeah.
Kat Cole is one of the greatest keepers in the world at the minute. So she's up there in the top 5. So it's shots like that, I'm not surprised she's picking up.
Matt, the arrival of Stina, seeing her, I mean, did you think she was going to do it 1v1, or
this is where
do we go goalkeepers union? Is this just a really good save from Katakul?
So just going to backtrack a little bit on these subs. I actually thought that Chloe Kelly was going to be doing something. She was in the middle of doing stuff, and that's where Arsenal were being most effective. And I thought bringing Chloe Kelly off at that time was the wrong move. But I was proven wrong for the right reasons, and I'm happy that happens. And I'm not. That's the reason I'm not a manager. But yes, on that, I think the problem is when you're Arsenal, you're always back your striker. You're 1-on-1, you back your striker. This happens so many times. I mean, I'll go back to England against Sweden when Stina Blackstenius was 1-on-1 against Mary Earps. And you think, this is going in, and she somehow hits it wide. And it's just, you've got so much of the goal that you can aim at, and you've aimed for the other side. How that cannot happen? And it's just one of those where I think she prefers not to think. And if she thinks, overthinks, and that's what happens.
I think she's just not being clinical enough, and she just shoots and hopes. Sometimes,
might be
not
playing
all the time,
a
but
part.
sometimes.
The appearances and things like that, because she's had limited appearances at the moment. She hasn't been able to get those clinical minutes to really be up to speed, and I think that maybe played a part. But when she scores, she makes sure that they're good goals. I think she was very clinical for Sweden.
My feeling was in that one. I think she just. I'm not saying she sort of being a coward or give up on it, but it just felt like she just went for power. Just felt rather than try and think of a spot and think what I'm just going to kick it with power and hope it goes and hope it beats the keeper. It was on target. It is a great save from Katakul, but I would also say by comparison, Barcelona never had that kind of chance against Daphne. I think the best one they had, was earlier on. I think Bonmati had a chance, and it was at Daphne's near post. It was a pretty routine save. There was no point where we were sliced open and Eva Payol was, streaming green 1v1 with Daphne. There was no point where they actually cut us open like that. But you do think, again, it's Barcelona. Are you going to get that chance? And the one concern I had with the change, because obviously with Stina coming on, Roos was kept on, moved to 10, and Kelly and Mead was sub on the wings, and Frida come off, is how that impacts us defensively. And what I noticed was immediately afterwards, Barcelona, I think, have probably their last decent chance of the game. It's a Patea's cross into the box, and it's a Payet header, and it just misses the crossbar and lands on the roof of the net. And did you want to come in on that one?
Yeah, no, I just want to touch back on Frida again. I think taking her off when we did was the right time. I just felt like she was being a little bit bullied. That's the only thing I can pick at our whole performance. And I don't like picking on Frida, but I felt like she was a bit bullied through that game, and like she was managing it, but she wasn't quite managing it because it was very on and off.
I agree.
That's the only complaint I can make. I don't want to make a complaint because it's such a great game.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
I fully agree, because there was a moment stood out to me. We're trying to play the ball out, and what we needed was Russo would hold up the ball, which I hold up the ball is always really good, and then Frida would come in as a supporting player. Russo could feed Frida the ball, and then we could play out. But when it was up to Frida to do the same, there was a moment where she was having to do that, and she just got a pocket picked on the halfway line. It caught Arsenal in transition, and it led to the Bonmati chance.
It was simple chances like that. She doesn't let anyone get away with at home. So why are you doing it in Europe? Maybe because it's Bonmati. Like, I don't know. I've tried to question like why, but we all know what a talent Tanya is. So there's also that to factor in as well.
From that miss, it's pretty much a goal kick. Arsenal put together a really good bit of passing, and again they get Stina racing behind the defender, and this was always the key thing. Rather than having us trying to play the ball to Russo and having extra strength, we're getting Stina running beyond the defense, and we're playing it past the defense, and the defense simply couldn't cope. I think it was Paredes who was having to run back with Stina. She was on a booking, so she can't make the foul because then she's off, and Stina wins the corner. And I think back to this moment, and I sort of said it at the time, and in fairness, this is an element of I say it every time, so it loses all meaning. But I felt, and this was about 74 minutes on the clock, and I just felt this is a big moment. And I remember saying the same thing before the Chloe Kelly corner at the Euro final against Germany. I thought this is because for once you've actually got a strong set piece opportunity. We haven't had many of them in this second arc. It's been many Barcelona. Stina's obviously got one of his moment, and I thought this is a potentially a really big moment. We've got to take it. Mario takes the corner. It's sadly cleared, but Kimler picks up the pieces. She plays it back to Mariona, and she waits, sees the opportunity, plays it to Beth Mead on the edge of the box. And at that moment, I'm thinking shoot, but she doesn't. It's a reverse pass into the box and picks out Stina, and all of a sudden, it's chaos. It's chaos in the stands. It's chaos. The ball's in the net. There's chaos in it. It must have been Matt, Emirates Stadium. Tell us what was. Yeah, we'll go live to Emirates Stadium with Matt. Matt, what's going on at Emirates Stadium?
There's been a red card. Honestly, I think flags were going. The scarves were being waved. It was just everyone was jumping up and down, hugging people. I just think if whoever was on the pitch must have been hearing that was like, what the heck's going on upstairs? Because it was huge. Like I think everyone at that time had that belief that the team could do it. It was just about what was the moment going to be. Was it going to be the Stina 1-on-1 one or not? Or had. I think the other thing as well is that statistically, I know this is going to really bore a lot of people, but these cup finals haven't gone to penalties or extra times for a long time. So to get it done in 90 minutes, I don't know who would have been the stronger of the two had it gone to extra time or penalties. But I thought that the way it was going at the Emirates, I'm surprised you couldn't hear it all the way from Lisbon, and I'm sure the fans in Lisbon was kind of hoping that North London, you could hear them from there as well. It was like vice versa via a call or something like that, or a teams or whatnot. But it was almost I can't describe it really, because it was very much like the stadium had lifted off. We had to use that commentator's phrase, and the stadium is rocking, and it just was so much of a I'm not just a relief, but it was just a sense of euphoria as well. That just can't believe this. There's about less than 15 to 20 minutes left of the game, and you're 1-0 up, and they're current European champions. And I don't think anyone would have said I don't think anyone could believe what was going on. There was tears. Probably, I think a lot of tears was being shed, but more towards when the trophy was going to be lifted.
Yeah,
but
we'll get to
it was it's huge. It was just so loud. I don't even have an ear defender thing, or not ear defender thing. The app, one of the apps to say, oh, it's too loud, and so
I have that on my phone. On my watch. It says that. Yeah.
I think I would. If I'd heard that, I would have been, oh, this is a decibel level, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you. But it was so loud now. Bearing in mind that was just over 4,000 that was allowed to go to this game, watch this game inside the stadium.
I mean, we'll pan back to Lisbon. I mean, Lottie, we had a false start. We had that false moment, that false celebration. This one, I felt at the time was celebrated louder and with much greater passion. I think with the belief, maybe with hope that VAR wouldn't take this one away from us. But I mean, how confident were you, and what was the vibe like from where you were sat?
From where I was sat, I jumped on top of the person in front of me, screaming my head off. It was great, waving the scarf around. I'm actually standing on the back of his seat, screaming my head off. So at the time, and then I came back, like I had Holly beside me, and I had G on the other side, screaming our heads off, and it was just absolutely brilliant. And yeah, no, one thing I remember that sticks in my mind from Holly told me for weeks ago we were going to win it. And she went, I was at the 2007. I'm here. We're going to win this. I'm like,
she was at the 2007.
Yeah, she was.
Wow.
Yeah, I did try to get her to come on the podcast, but unfortunately, with her job, it just won't work.
No, that's.
But she's seen us lift the last trophy, and she's seen us lift this one. And her partner's a Man United fan. He had his lucky Russo back heel shirt on, and it was just like everything's falling into place right now. But yeah, no, it was just I knew it was coming, and it had to be her. That's all I've got to say on the subject. It had to be Stina.
Yeah.
As much as I'd love Russo to get that winner, just to sprinkle that all over Man United, it had to be Stina, because she is that big game player for finals. She's
Stina Clutchdinius. That is her thing.
I don't like that term. I tried to dodge that so much just then.
But it's always the case. If it's a routine game with no stakes attached, she won't score. But if it is a critical, and I did a compilation of this late after the final, there are so many big game moments where she has stepped up to score the crucial goal. I mean, you can reel them off: Chelsea, Wolfsburg, Manchester City.
Do you not remember Man City?
Yeah, I said Man City multiple times times against Man City.
We were out there and the weather was really bad.
Yeah.
And we were in extra time, weren't we?
Yeah, extra time. But you think about the league games last season, home and away, late goals. This season away at Manchester City, late goal, late winner. And I look at the clock and I see there's 15 minutes to go, and I see it's Stina. I mean, I think the problem is, and the commentators had this as well, is with the 1v1 chance and then this goal, there's a bit of confusion whether it was Russo or Stina. Again, because they've both got 20 plus number on the back, and they both got blonde hair. And I think the commentators made a mistake on the 1v1 and on the graphic as well on the live stream. I think actually to have Russo's name, which is a bit embarrassing. It was Stina's goal, and of course it's Stina. I was hoping for a big knee slide towards the corner, but they don't do that. And I'm looking at the clock, and it's about 15 minutes to go. And at that point, I thought, we're going to do it.
Thing is, can I just pull you on that? Stina don't celebrate unless it's a worldie.
No, I know. It's just I know.
It was a great goal, but it wasn't a worldie.
No, I knew
we weren't. Fast forward to her Sweden goal. I think it was her third one. That was a worldie. I think it was her third one or second one. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the game. I saw the highlights, but that was a worldie, and she celebrated in style with that one. But it wasn't quite a worldie, although it was a great goal.
I felt at that moment, with the way that we had played up to that point, and say if nothing changes in terms of how Barcelona play and how we are playing, we're going to win. At that point, with 50, because the game suddenly becomes, forget what's happened before. The rule of the game now is you've got 15 minutes. I know there's going to be injury time, but you've got 15 minutes to keep a clean sheet against Barcelona. You've just got to keep the ball out of the net for 15 minutes. The game is that simple now. It is that there's no extra, looking for goals or anything. You have the winning golden ticket. You've just got to stop Barcelona from scoring 15 minutes, and it just simplify it to that level. And I'm watching you thinking, oh, well, Barcelona will respond, and I think they make a flurry of substitutions. They don't. What was scary, and this is it's easy to say after the fact. In the ground, obviously you got the stress, and you're looking at the clock. I think we're all clock watching at this point, and we're looking at our watch. We're counting down the minutes, we're counting down the seconds. The way that Arsenal managed the rest of that game, you watch it. Barcelona don't have a clear-cut chance, and again, it's taking us back to that Lioness keep the ball in the corner mentality. From the end of the Euro, and which again is some of the most magnificent non-football you will ever watch, and it's beautiful to watch back whenever you get the chance. But then there was some
That's
lovely
because
moments.
you're on the winning side.
I know it's
Not
great. I
for
mean,
Germany.
when
No.
on the losing side, it's awful. But as an England fan, watching it back and just thinking they understand the assignment, they understand what needs to be done. Some brilliant
I think
substitutions.
that's the last final we were all at together. You know that?
What the
No,
Euros?
it's the Conti Cup up at Wolves. That was the last time we were all together. Sorry, ignore that. But internationally, it was that one.
Absolutely. Obviously international was our last final. But then the Lena Herta comes off the bench, which I thought was really good from Rene, giving Lena for our last game for Arsenal. I love that she had that moment, and of course Ford was the tank had run dry, I think, by that point. But he just started you could just see, and this is what I'm leaning back to you, Matt, what you were saying about like winning finals and experience winning finals. It's the players at no point got overexcited, overcommitted, chased things. They just stuck to the mission, and they knew how to grind out the game, grind out the clock. The time becomes Barcelona's enemy, and you watch it. The minutes tick down. You get to the checkpoint. You get to 80. You get to 82.5. You get to 85, and nothing is changing. 7 minutes go up. Obviously, it's a bit of annoyance. Lotta comes on, and then probably my last favourite moment of the final, and this sort of sealed it for me. This is when I knew it was done. It was over. Barcelona have a corner. We clear it because we've cleared every corner. Mariona makes a break down the flank, clear. She holds the ball up on the edge of the box. 2 defenders around her. She wins a free kick on the edge of the box, and I think it's about 95 minutes on the clock. I mean, Matt, I'm assuming you know the bit I mean, don't you? I mean, that must have been celebrated as much as a goal when you see something like that happen.
It is, but I think she was caught in 2 minds, being a former Barcelona player. Whether you say that now, but imagine the amount of abuse. Imagine the abuse she would have got if she would have gone and just carried on her run and struck it into the top corner or something like that. I do hate that when it happened. It annoyed the heck out of me when it happened. Just kick it into the corner and just go from there. Because it's for me, it's anti-football. I don't enjoy it. It's just because it becomes more stressful because it can also go wrong. You can try and play into the corner, and then it's as I say they just hoof it long or whatever. It can go very wrong, and it's for me. It's always in the back of mind if you're trying to do something like that there's that opportunity that it might be a small opportunity or a small chance that it happens, but it's in the back of my mind, and it is frustrating. It was one of the biggest frustrations
for me. I'll say my bit. I think that shows the intelligence that Mariona has. Again, it's that know-how she's got from Barcelona. How in those critical moments, what is the best play, and the best play is to win that foul. And here's a foul, and again. Bleeds the clock a bit more. It's down to seconds, and at the moment thinking, well, I know I'm not going to lose the game now. There's not enough time left, and again, Barcelona have done nothing to suggest. The only way that Barcelona, I always felt, saying to people afterwards, the only way Barcelona were going to score would be refereeing error, like a worldie from 30 yards that's unstoppable, freak deflection, which can happen, a daft penalty, mental exhaustion, you stick out a leg, it's a foul, or a refereeing gaff, unless something out of the ordinary happens, there is going to be no change to the scoreline because Barcelona in the 90 plus minutes have done nothing to suggest that they know how to break this Arsenal defence, which is incredible considering that same back line conceded 4 goals to Man United and 4 goals to Barcelona, 4 goals to Brighton rather, but to Barcelona, nothing. There was a false alarm, Lottie. I think referee blew. They thought it was full time. It wasn't. It was for a foul. And then a few seconds later, the ball's at Pariola's feet, and the referee blows the full-time whistle.
That was the longest 7 minutes of my life. I hated it, and it was just watching, looking back at the clock, watching back to the game, and just like obviously the clock wasn't ticking, and I kept looking at the clock. I'm like, what am I doing? I've got my timer on my phone. So I actually timed it, so I can just
do a timer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've started I do that for finals because otherwise I'll get in the wrong headspace. Yeah. Especially with the Champions League games, and it's just whereas in the Premier League now you see it, we've got the clocks, we're good.
Yeah.
But because it was so big, I've got to have this on. But as soon as is it I can't pronounce their name, Parallelo.
Yeah, Pariolo. Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as she went down, I thought, oh, here we go again. We've got World Cup final written all over it again. And it's just going to go wrong. And I was just sitting there, please, no. And it didn't. And it was just, she blew a whistle once. I was one of the false alarmers. I was like, yes, it's done. Finally, I can breathe.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, oh, hang on a minute. And then it goes off again. And it's just
Yeah.
that resurge of joy in celebrations. And then I sort of had to stop. And I was like, I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
Which I did, and there's actually video evidence on the internet of me doing that, which is really awkward.
Is that on the Arsenal website?
No, it's a couple of friends called. Is one of our friends was a couple of rows behind us.
Oh right,
but she could see us from because she had the fancy free draw seats. She actually caught me, and me and Holly were sitting there having a good cry, and it was like, well, crying, screaming, like it was happy tears, but I was screaming my head off, and at that point, my voice cords had gone, and it was just like, oh my god. So happy.
Oh, my voice had gone. My voice gone at that point.
We were just sitting there taking pictures and everything, and like just singing after together, and it's healed for me a lot of wounds. I was at that Barcelona final with the men. I was there, and it's healed so much wounds. Yes. Although it's different, 2 sets of football, I've always seen our club as one club, and it's to beat them at that point. All these years later, it's everything.
Yes. No, that was one of my other sort of
emotional now.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's when I was only a young wee nipper when with the 2-1 at the start of France, and it was one of my first was my second ever Champions League final, and first obviously I'm watching Arsenal go through, and I had the naivety to assume it was normal for Arsenal to reach Champions League finals. It's not. Who would have thought? And that horror, that those last 15 minutes of that game when it got away from us was one of my big childhood traumas. To then see us be 1-0 up with 15 minutes to go and manage the game. It's easier when you've got 11 players on the pitch.
I wouldn't say 15 minutes. It kind of kicks in at about 90, and you've got that additional time, and then it's like, hang on, and we've actually genuinely got an opportunity.
I mean,
Barcelona are rattled.
I loved it. I was able to, because I had the timer going, instead of people, I was able to just, again, it's my coping mechanism, just telling every people what the time was, just say, yep, 2 minutes, go on, keep going, you fine.
Oh, we know that. That's why I don't worry about extra minutes of the WSL games. It's all right. You're good. Adam on comms. If he's not there, I'm stuffed.
The full-time emotion, just one of those things you want to bottle up and never. I mean, it does go in time. It's obviously in the past now that it is bled from the system. But that adrenaline high,
to yourself.
That adrenaline high, you want to cling on to forever, because it's such a precious moment, and this is not normal in a way. Arsenal, this is their first final since 2007, and we have a 100% record, which is nice, but they don't come around often. And you want to live in that moment because you never get it back. And obviously the celebrations were magnificent. The players came over, and as like you, Lottie, I was in tears. I was gone. I think
yeah,
it was.
But you got caught on the Arsenal website. I didn't.
I did. I know. The funny story about that was I was stood with one of our Dutch friends, Rose, and another Arsenal fan I know called Dan. We sat with him, and we're watching the game together. And it's actually Dan I'm hugging at the end, and Rose was shaking. She came to me, and I was hugging her, and I took my sunglasses off, and I was just bawling my eyes out. I just couldn't. I'm not one to cry. The last time I cried in a football match was the Molineux final, and that's because it was a very emotional final, because obviously there was a bit of horror that happened in the game, and it meant a bit more. But this was just sort of something. This was up there with the Euros, and I was just inconsolable. And I spoke with Farah from the Sports Club afterwards, meeting up at the Emirates Stadium with the presentation, and she came to me and she said, "I've seen the picture. One of the photographers has got you," and I was crying, and it's like, really? I was thinking, when she said that, I thought, I know what bit they've got. My worry was that if because cameras like to pan for people crying in the crowd, and I was worried that's like the DAZN stream would like pan to the Arsenal and just see me bawling my eyes out.
This is why I kept my sunglasses on.
But it's a brilliant picture, and it's a wonderful picture. Shout out to, I think it was Sarah who took it, Sarah Reagan. A magnificent picture, and I've got it up on my socials. It brilliantly encapsulates the moment that that's what football does to you as a fan. And those moments that don't come around often, but they were magical. I mean, Matt, Emirates Stadium, full-time whistle. I mean, what was it like in the room?
I think it was indescribable. I think it's almost replicant of what you're saying. Obviously, you're there in Lisbon. It's all going up. It's all happening. Them all rushing over to you to celebrate with you. And it was just scarves in the air, people hugging, tears. I mean, you're not the only ones. Let's be honest. I also did. I think that's the first time I've actually cried at a football match for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think this is the first time I cried. Yeah, for a long time. But it was one of those games that I don't think you'll ever forget where you were, what you were doing, who you were with, and just what you were doing that day. And it was just the whole experience. I wouldn't have changed it for the world. If people were said, as I say, as I was saying earlier on the body, if you were to say you're going to be in three cup finals, one of them being Champions League final, and you're going to win them all against Chelsea and one of the best teams in Europe, in Barcelona, I don't think we wouldn't have just bitten your hand off. We would have taken it and probably made a stew out of it or something. Not to be that, but
gross. Yeah, it's a bit graphic, Matt.
I was going to say, when did football and cannibalism come together?
This is taking a rather bizarre turn. I mean, it's unexpected.
I've run out of words, but yeah, the idea you take it and you'd be like, either you're thinking you're delusional or you take it and you just say, say that.
I mean, let me put it to you. Imagine telling somebody after we'd gone out in penalties to Paris FC and saying, "Don't worry, you won't be knocked out at all from football next season." You know, that was the last time you'll be knocked out up until 2025. That's the last time you'll be knocked out of a football match. Was that penalty shootout to Paris? It's a bonkers contrast. I mean, the statistics are mad. It's the first time some team has gone from the 15-match marathon from the qualifier to the final and won it. You know, Arsenal have once again kept a clean sheet.
In that case, didn't it?
It
had to be us. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I think we've seen this season. It's been the season of the underdog in the cup finals, and that's been the telltale difference. And that's Chelsea against Man City.
Yes, but I'd say clean sheets in finals. Another clean sheet in European final.
You mean United?
But the sub cup.
There's sub and the FA Cup. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
One or the other. It doesn't matter. Take your pick.
Let's just go with United. I don't remember the Subway Cup.
The celebration at full time, obviously the trophy lift, playing "We Are the Champion," and one of my favourite memories. I've taped it because it's such a beautiful moment. I managed to find a stream it without any commentary. Is when they go and they're celebrating with the trophy. They're playing "We Are the Champions," and then the DJ hits mute, and all you can hear are the Arsenal fans singing along, and it's just such a majestic sound. And that is the away support, which weren't just in that corner; they were around the stadium as well, and it's just I remember standing thinking, I really need a drink because I'm really thirsty, but I know I can't leave the spot, and I will not leave this spot until every Arsenal player has left the pitch. And it was getting a bit of sort of fatigue towards the end, and thinking, I would like people to go because I would like to go to Pink Street and join in with the drinks, but I want to stay here and just see more and just seeing everybody, on that pitch. You know, the staff, the players. I mean, should we shout out but Josh Kroenke, when we think about like in Manchester United when their owners won't bother to turn up for their cup final, Josh has come in and actually supported the team.
I'm gonna probably regret saying this, but the Kroenkes compared to Ratcliffe they're a different gravy right now.
Yeah.
They heard us, they've seen our reaction, and now they've actually pulled their fingers out. I'm still not happy with them in general, just a general point with the way they run their things, but the improvement since the
Super League,
protests. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry, I was like, what's the word?
The anger,
protests, and the effigies that went up during that game. I think we were heard. Yeah. We were like, although that was predominantly around men's football, they've also pulled their socks up around the women's. But there's also a case for Arsenal have always treated the women's team as one club. And in terms of fan building and the culture and the tribalism, we are leagues and leagues and leagues ahead of everyone. And it's everything.
It is everything. And seeing Brighty on the pitch as well, getting a picture of the trophy, and I've since been able to go back and watch some of the interviews, and they get me emotional again watching it, and I've rewatched the game countless times on the different feeds, on TNG.
The highlight for me during those celebrations was Chloe Kelly.
Yes.
And she did it at the parade because I've watched the videos back.
Yeah.
And she's pointing at the floor like, I am staying.
Well,
And I think
there
that's
was
all.
a lot of "We want you to stay, Chloe Kelly," and it was really nice to see
for
that.
her
She
to
wasn't
stand
ignoring
there
it, but she was
with the
responding to
no,
it.
she wasn't. She had the trophy in her hands and she was
Yeah.
pointing to the ground, and
Mm.
she did it at the parade as well. So I'm hoping we're going to have another still for free at the end of this month,
I hope so. The other one
because
was
Serena will not have contracts hanging over their heads while they're at that tournament. I can promise you this now.
the other one was obviously they did North London Forever, which again tugs at the heartstrings. And I don't know if you saw, Matt, I was caught on TV with the scarf in the air singing North London Forever as well, as I always seem to be in cup finals. It's becoming a bit of a habit now, but again, just a really emotional moment, just standing, with the players in front of us singing along, and just, I mean, the celebrations carried on into Pink Street well into the night. Just a wonderful again to meet up again. And the chant now is we came to Lisbon from North London and we won the Champions League, and that has become sort of the mantra of the anthem, shall we say, of the entire trip, that we have done it. We have won it again. We are the only club from London to have won the Women's Champions League and won it more than once, and we are the only English team to have won it more than once. And British more than once, as I'm saying.
It
twice.
was so nice we had to go and do it twice.
Did it twice, exactly. And it's just incredible when you think about, as I said earlier, that in that time, Arsenal's fortune, shall we say, since 2007, it did go on the slide. We dropped out of Europe, we dropped out of the trophy races, and the likes of Manchester City and Chelsea have sort of secured that sort of top two for many, many seasons and pick up a lot of trophies that we were flagging behind. And they won League Cups and FA Cups and league titles, but the one trophy they never got their hands on was the Champions League.
Yeah, the quadruple was on, but you can have the treble. We'll take the Champions League trophy.
And that's the thing, is the great Schadenfreude. The whole thing is then we should say, from a football writing neutral perspective, which is hard, for Chelsea to win the treble and to do the league unbeaten it's an incredible achievement. It's an incredible footballing achievement, but it's been completely swept aside by this, and this is what all the
one trophy that they wanted.
It's the one trophy they wanted, and
you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna say this now. If I do not see blow up Champions League trophies in that away end at Stamford Bridge next year, I will be infuriated.
Actually,
you know what? I'm probably going to find some myself and give them out to people just for fun, because the men did that to us, and I think it would just be funny just to give them dose of their own medicine.
Absolutely, and again, we've won it twice. They can stuff it. I do wonder if Chelsea fans would ever swap that amazing treble for a European Cup. Thankfully, they can't. But I do wonder.
That's the debate now. An unbeaten season with a treble, or they're winning the Champions League. And I think for me, it's going to be the Champions League, because we're the only club that's won it.
And hopefully we always will be. The celebrations at Emirates Stadium on the Armoury, just again, I've never done a trophy presentation before, because obviously, rightly so, we don't do it for the Conti Cup. I don't think it has that same allure, and I never went to the men's FA Cup trophy parades. It's the first time they've actually done a trophy celebration for 10 years, because obviously last one was 2015 for the men's FA Cup. After that, there were security issues and COVID, the other few finals. But to be in front of, be in the crowd right in front of the Armoury, and them being there, and Katie McCabe singing, and hearing, seeing the players in their sunglasses, and lifting the trophy, and the smoke gun goes off, and the confetti and everything, and the cheering, and that did get to me as well. Just seeing that moment, seeing Arsenal European champions 2025 on all everywhere basically, and it just sort of hit home just what an incredible achievement it was. That was something that just seemed impossible when we lost 5-2 to Bayern Munich, when we were just scraping through the qualifiers, and Jonas was in charge, and René's come in, and we are in a curious situation. We should just say, statistically, men's and women's, our last 3 European finals, men and women, when we've won it, have all been on a 1-0 aggregate win. So I don't know if you know who, obviously, remember you had Stina, you had Scott, and of course Smith in 1994 in the Cup Winners' Cup. And it's just, again, it's 1-0 to the Arsenal. Again, I've watched it back so many times. I mean, the content's been fantastic. Some really good edits, some really good behind the scenes clips of the parties and the celebrations. I hope there is more on the horizon. I hope there are more pictures to come through, and because I don't want to stop reliving this, I want to relive this until the start of next season, which I believe is in September. So we've got even with the Euros, we've got a long time to build this. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to touch on beyond this final. A few things you alluded to this earlier, Matt. Chloe Kelly. Got to keep her now, haven't we? We got to get her on a deal.
Well, there's one thing that's going to be for certain. It's sort of been announced on the website that we're in talks with her, but I think that's been basically amazed where that we're definitely keeping her.
And Lottie, Renee Slagers has to get a contract extension, surely. How many zeros and how many years do you put on the lifetime? I mean, how long is too long?
I mean, the last time I checked, Ange hasn't been sacked yet. I probably
He has.
Oh, he has.
Gone.
Yeah, in that case, we're not Tottenham. We're not idiots. Sorry. Like that was one of the worst finals I've ever watched, by the way. But it's a case of, why are you going to get rid of someone who's won you a trophy, a European trophy at that? And from where we're sitting in the WSL, it's the best trophy out the lot. Like, it is the possible four we can get. It's the best one for me. Although, if you told me after Paris FC, I'll be sitting here talking about we won the Champions League and won Champions Europe, I would have laughed in your face because that was traumatic in itself. But just keep her.
Yeah.
Sign her for another 3-4 years, see what she does, and then keep renewing until you don't want her anymore.
I mean, beyond into next season, then what do we do? Because the crazy thing is, 2007 was the pinnacle of Vic Akers' team, and it was built up years and years and years of success and building up and got to the final. But Renee's come in at 11. She's come in right at the top and won the Champions League. They're the biggest trophy in Europe. So what is the expectation next season?
Defend our title and bring some more trophies back.
Go for the WSL?
See, I would be in the opposite direction. I want the double. I want the FA Cup, and I want.
You say you want no trophies.
I will be happy if we get to a semi-final, because the way the Champions League changes next year, it goes into the league phase, which is copy and paste from the men's. So it's going to be a bit more complicated about where we're going to be. We're not going to have that layout that we do now.
Not necessarily. As long as you finish in a certain position, you go through to the playoffs. It's not that hard, I'll be honest with you. It's more or less, it's similar to the group stages, because I've gone through it with the men this season. It's not that hard to understand. It's not overcomplicated. It's basically the same. You just don't have people in groups. You just have everyone in a league table. That's it.
It's true, but at the same time, there's an opportunity where you play with the men, play PSG in the group stage, go and beat PSG. Then you go and play them in the knockout stages in the semi-finals. It's one of those where if things that happen in the league,
that can happen anyway.
Yeah, so it's just one of those where people aren't going to understand exactly what's going on, because they don't really follow that sort of thing. But for me, I'll be happy that if with a semi-final, I want to see the FA Cup. It's been too long since we had the FA Cup, and I want a WSL.
Interesting thing with the FA Cup, actually, is I looked at the last time we won it was in 2016, and that was actually the halfway point between our two finals. International in Europe as well. We're not in the qualifiers. We are straight in the league phase, so no qualifiers, none of that nonsense. It's straight in the WSL, straight.
Girls get a holiday.
We get a holiday even after
I think that's one of the first things I screamed. Yes, no mini tournament and qualifiers.
No mini tournaments, no playoffs. So it's just us and Chelsea.
But Barcelona have to do them for the first time in a few years as well. That's going to be interesting.
No, Barcelona straight in as well, because they are winners of Liga F. So as a champions.
Fair enough.
Also, it's boosted our coefficient. I think we're top of the coefficient as well. So coefficient champions, you'll never sing that. A magnificent day in our history of our amazing club that we love, we hate, we despise, we adore so much. Memories that will last a lifetime, and hopefully a bit longer than that. What a way to end what's been a bonkers, stupid, crazy roller coaster, but unforgettable ride of a season. And to wrap up, as always, or do our socials. Obviously, you can find us at VAW Pod on our Twitters and Blue Skies, and of course on YouTube. And do give us a like, comment, subscribe. If you have any of your own memories of the final that you enjoyed, do let us know in the comments. We always love to hear feedback and see what they say. Matt, where can we find you?
You can find me at MattLR28.
And Lottie, where can we find you?
Sorry, I didn't know if I was telling my Michael. Oh, actually, I'm muting myself there.
Mm.
So I do apologise. You can follow me at Lottie_AWFC on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram.
And you can find me at Adam_Salter4 or Adam-Salter4 on Twitter's, Blue Skies, Instagrams, a lots. And that's it. What a way to conclude. It's been 15 games. What a way to conclude an amazing European adventure. It started in Meadow Park with a 6-0 win over Rangers, Glasgow City or Glasgow Rangers, and ended in Lisbon with an old-fashioned 1-0 to the Arsenal against Barcelona. We came to Lisbon from North London and we won the Champions League.
La 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 la.